All right, guys, if you keep up with politics, I'm sure you've seen the clip of AOC going on the news and laughing off the statement, woke 1.0 was crazy. Basically, like an admission from the most popular person on the left that their woke ideologies are ridiculous, they're out of hand, and that they're trying to steer themselves in another direction. Currently, if you ask me, I think the new leftist ideology is to push immigration and foreign people in government. I think that's exactly what it is. I think that's exactly what they're alluding to. And honestly, I simply can't stand for it. Can't get behind it. That's just me personally. But with that being said, I found a new video. Well, I won't say I found it, but our Basic Logic posted a new video about how immigration replaced the woke left. And he's touching on this topic exactly. With that being said, let's get into it.
All the online right are rejoicing with the supposed death of what is being called woke 1.0. At long last, people, even on the left, are finally admitting that the 2010s were complete insanity. Finally, we can answer questions like, what is a woman? Without having a circular definition. Finally, we can admit that putting men in combat sports against women is not wise. Men are now allowed to part their legs when they sit down, free from judgment. No more Zer Zem pronouns. No more drag queen story hours. We have the entire right celebrating, we have the left playfully reflecting on their past convictions, and we even have the LGB telling the T to be normal. Ironic. So, did we do it? Did we win the culture war?
No.
No. Actually, this is a sign of the right's defeat, something that many, including myself, warned would happen if things continued the way they were going. And in this video, I go over why that is, and the actual political drive behind Woke 1.0's death. And if you enjoyed, consider subscribing, it helps the channel. I said in one of my earliest videos that a right-wing revolution was inevitable. By right-wing here, I actually mean anti-woke. My reasoning was as follows. With the left's mass importation of peoples from the third world, who, by themselves, tend to be very hostile to woke ideology, the liberals signed their own death warrant. The woke left somehow believed that these people, known for their tribalism and religious extremism, would perfectly parrot the liberal worldview. They didn't, as should have been obvious. This means that as the third world population grows in the West and becomes a decisive voter bloc, they would turn on the woke liberals who enabled them and try to impose their own worldview, as by the way has already happened in several cities and states. We're in a situation where many Western European countries will become minority European within only 1 to 3 generations.
That is a crazy statistic. A lot of countries in Europe will become minority European in 1 to 3 generations. That's scary. If Europe has taught America anything, it is that we do not want our country to be anything like them. And it's interesting because we have the most lax immigration policies in the world. And the fact that we have immigration custom enforcement going around and capturing people who have violated the law and are sending them back, and people are mad about that, is very telling. I think it's a very simple thing, honestly. I mean, it's only a problem because who's president? Because when Joe Biden had them going around, when Obama had them going around, everyone was silent. And Joe Biden actually let the people in and was deporting people at the same time. So he was like, he had a whole cycle going. But now we've got it shut down and we're kicking people out. And somehow, for some reason, that's offensive to people. It's absurd. If Europe has taught us anything, it is that we do not want our country to be like theirs. In no way. In no way. I mean, we want to keep America American. I want the next generation of kids to be American. I want my kid to go to school with kids who were born in America, their parents were born in America, and they can relate to them. Not a bunch of kids who, oh, my dad came here from a different country. I don't want that. I'm sorry. Call me an extremist. Call me whatever you want. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't even want that for myself. So why would I want that for my child? I mean, and you know, that's interesting. That seems to be a crazy ideology, especially coming from me as a black person. I'm not allowed to have that ideology. I'm supposed to be in favor of the brownification of America, or the takeover of immigrants of America. But unfortunately, I'm not. I don't think we have anything in common, in my personal opinion. And given that is where I draw the line, that we don't have anything in common, I don't support them coming here. And I support ICE and everything else going on. And that's not even a malicious statement. I just think that there are laws in place for a reason. There's nowhere on this earth that you can go without the proper paperwork, without the proper documentation, and you can stay. No country allows that. Not even in Africa. So why do we as Americans make a fuss that we don't allow it here? We do allow it in mass. There's 20 plus million people here undocumented illegally. And the fact that people are trying to get them out is a problem. I don't understand it. I don't think that's offensive. I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that's insane. I don't see the problem with why people are so upset about that. Oh, it's inhumane. Oh, it's wrong. Brother, if you guys didn't fight them, they wouldn't have to do it the way they do it. I don't know. It's a very simple issue to me. I don't know. I just can't get behind it. I can't get behind the mass importation of foreigners with their foreign values and their foreign cultures into our country. That's just my personal opinion. I feel very strongly about that, honestly. I'm a very pro-America guy.
With most capitals already undergoing that switch, America has just a bit longer. On screen, you're seeing some of the statistics on this, caused by a mix of low fertility among locals due to both cultural factors and economic policy, and the unrelenting immigration numbers, as well as the high fertility among foreigners due to their own distinct culture, and being the beneficiaries of the West's disastrous welfare policies. Therefore, if things continue as is, the West will be remade in the Third World's image within the coming decades. Naturally, that means there are only two broad political positions that still matter. Either A, the Third World, or B, the dissident right, who oppose their presence and the current establishment that enabled their mass importation. Everything else is secondary until this is resolved. And regardless of who would win in such a situation, they will be anti-woke. Given these options, where does that leave the left? The average woke leftist has three paths laid before them. Path 1, they can stay woke. They don't recant their beliefs, they continue to push LGBT, neopronouns, feminism, etc. unapologetically. Force it in schools, at the workplace, in movies, desperately trying to spread propaganda with every institution they still control to see if their numbers can grow enough. But they won't. And they'll start losing more and more to non-woke leftists or right-wingers until they become irrelevant. And when the power struggle between the dissident right and the Third World really begins, they'll be the first to be gotten rid of, effectively making this option an act of self-destruction. That's always been the woke leftist specialty, so maybe they might go with it. Path 2, they become...
I think the people who are on the stay woke path are becoming the minority. I think there are a lot of leftists who are starting to realize that that ideology is becoming ridiculous. And I think that's due to the trans argument. And no disrespect to trans people when I say this. I just think that people are starting to realize that this ideology is very harmful to women. And you can't say you champion women by embracing an ideology that is harmful to their privacy, their spaces, their rights, and the things that they fought for through the women's suffrage movement. And I think they're starting to become the minority. Unless you're a part of that community, I think you are at some level, you realize that that is become a bit ridiculous, in my personal opinion, based on my observations.
A niche but increasingly common option these days, a lot of woke leftists have attempted to rehabilitate themselves, dropping their pro-immigration stance and some of their more insane cultural values, and then replacing it with nationalism. The combination of their economic policies with their newfound nationalism makes them oddly and perhaps deliberately similar to certain 20th century ideologies. It's rare because so much of leftist programming is about abhorring those certain 20th century ideologies, but it does happen.
Wow.
Generally, these people are treated by the dissident right with suspicion, but they can't afford to be picky with their allies. So the dissident right tolerates these based leftists, despite many believing that socialist policies are still innately subversive.
They're very subversive.
Nationalism, however, remains non-negotiable.
It is non-negotiable.
The moment one of these rehabilitated leftists starts advocating for something that sounds like civic nationalism, that is the belief that a nation is defined not by its people, but rather by the state bureaucracy, they're politically exiled.
As they should be.
They become a woke 2.0. Woke 2.0 is a term coined in recent statements by high-profile leftist politicians, and it's being marketed as a less insane version of wokeness that puts less emphasis on cultural causes like the LGBT, while maintaining the same economic policy and pro-immigration stance. That's the main difference between the previous option and this one. The previous option is loyal to their own nation and wants to bring about their supposed socialist utopia for their own people, recognizing that unlimited immigration makes the welfare state unsustainable. Meanwhile, this option is still globalist. Effectively, it's attempting to signal to the Third World faction that the left are their allies and that they're willing to abandon the positions that the Third World doesn't like. When people saw leftists admitting the death of Woke 1.0 and calling it crazy, they thought that the right won the culture war. That is false. The Third World won the culture war, not the right. And what does the Third World faction actually want? It's varied because they're not homogenous, but they have enough aligned interests to be considered one political bloc for the time being. They want more immigration to continue so that they can continue to bring over their communities. They want more state welfare for them, more public housing, more gifts from the national treasury. After all, it's not their money they're taking to pay for these amenities, it's the locals' taxes. Their own tax contribution is often net negative. The Third World also wants to be able to enforce their own rules in their communities, free from outside interference, which is why leftist politicians placate them by having two-tiered law enforcement and judges that are significantly more lenient with them than the locals.
That is a phenomenal example. And I like that I think this is a character that's supposed to be a Muslim. If you guys didn't know, there are communities popping up around our nation that are Sharia law only communities that will import Sharia law, and it's even speculated, or maybe it's confirmed, that people can be born and live out their entire life without seeing the outside walls of these communities. And that is being allowed in our country. That is scary. That is what you call third world invasion. That's not American. That's not what America should stand for. I think it's very scary that there are people in our country who are willing to allow this blatant non-American ideology and values to run rampant. I mean, I guess that's part of our freedom. You know, this is a free nation that should be allowed. But personally, I just don't know if we should allow that. I think that opens Pandora's box of bad things. I don't think we should be as lenient as we are, because if Europe has taught us anything, their leniency has put them in the position they're in. They're now spending more money on the welfare of immigrants than they get in taxes. They're now having entire generations of Europeans on the verge of being wiped out. I mean, the list goes on and on. I don't want that to happen in America. I don't want my kids to go to school with kids they have nothing in common with, whose parents don't pass down values that they can relate to. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. And it's very scary that is where our nation is headed. I mean, that is like, I don't know, man. That's like doomsday. I don't know. I want America to stay with Americans. And what I mean by that is I want people who are third, fourth, fifth generation Americans to raise up their children and my kids to grow up with theirs. Not the first gens, not the second gens. And that's no disrespect to them. But I just feel like my children would probably relate to the other ones more. Based on my experiences, I don't know. Because our values will align, our cultures will align, our history in some capacity will align. I mean, it's really a very simple thought process there. And that's no disrespect to the first gens and second gens. I think there are a lot of those people who come to America and recognize what a blessing it is to be here in America. That's not a diss to them at all. That's just what I think, man. I don't know. That's just what I think.
They want to see more of their own in positions of power and authority. And lastly, they don't want to see LGBT flags or pride parades or anything of that sort, which
that right there, that point right there, they want to see more of their own in positions of authority and to push their ideologies. That is what I mean by that. That's why I don't trust it. You know, the first and second gens, I feel like they're going to align with these people. Why? Because they're going to look to their elders who put them in the position that they're in to get their values, to get their worldview. You know, that's the same way we all are. And if you have the worldview of elders who come from America and have built the generation here and have built your lineage here, you're going to see more nationalism. You're going to see more respect for the country that we're in. Vice versa, on the other hand of that, or I won't say vice versa. Well, on the other hand of that, you will see people bring in their country or their values from their foreign country. And that, to me, I don't know if I can get down with that, gangsta. That's just me personally. I just can't relate to that. I don't have any lineage there. I don't have any ties there. I can't get down with that.
Which is why leftist politicians have been so keen on no longer bringing that stuff up. The modern-day leftist campaign strategy for any place that has a large immigrant population is to simply put a foreigner from their ethnicity as the candidate.
Wow.
And just promise all sorts of free stuff paid for by the taxpayer.
Facts.
That way, they get the left-wing vote and the immigrant vote,
Facts.
which is usually able to win any urban election. And all it costs them is having to not bring up the principles they've been championing for half a century.
Facts. Facts. Look at New York City. Look at Zohran Mamdani, born in Uganda. Look at Ilhan Omar, born in freaking Mogadishu, Somalia. How can we get down with this? How can we allow these foreigners to infiltrate our government? Nowhere in the world can you be foreign born and join a government. Nowhere. And we allow that in America. I understand that this is a free nation, but I'm sorry, guys, we have to stand for something. Me personally, my personal political ideology, I would never, under any circumstance, vote for someone foreign born that advocates for immigrants over the American people. I would never, ever get down with that. And I would never bend on that ideology. Never. And I feel very strongly about that because every immigrant group, every minority group in this country has what they have through the plight of black people in this country. And black people get nothing. And I'm supposed to sit around and watch foreigners get a leg up because a foreigner got into power? No, sir. I can't get down with that. I don't think it's very American of me. I can't say I'm pro-America and vote for someone who wasn't born here. Sorry, can't do it. I feel very strongly about that, guys. That's just me personally. That's my personal political ideology. I'm an independent, but I'm rocking with America through and through. There's no other place I could be born in the world and have the opportunity, have the life that I've been blessed to live. There's nowhere else in the world I could have that. And I'm going to live and die and ride with that.
To understand, for many, this was the plan all along. The leftist leaders knew this would happen when they imported the third world. I find the alternative hard to believe, that some of the most powerful people on the planet were completely ignorant and blindsided by the third world's values. In truth, there was no culture war in the 2010s. There was a culture feint. While we were too distracted trying to argue what a woman is, or the fact that men shouldn't be competing against them in sports, one of the largest and most consequential demographic changes in history was taking place.
Wow.
And people were too busy seeing it as just one of a myriad of issues. This was a war won without a fight.
Wow.
And notice how naturally the champions of the 2010s wokeness have abandoned their causes, the ease with which they call their former positions crazy. Leftist politicians didn't stop being woke 1.0, they never were. They simply took on the facade that would get them elected and their agenda pushed, because that's what a politician is, and their voters should have been aware. The woke crowd is no longer as relevant as it used to be, and a new demographic of voters have taken over their role as the base of leftist political support. The liberal
That's a fact. That's a fact. And we're at the end of the video, so I'm going to let this last little quote that he puts at the end of every video play. But I believe that he's alluding to the fact that we as Americans have been arguing about what is a woman, transgenders in women's spaces, and all these other issues for so long that we've been blind to the fact that Islam is spreading in our nation. And again, I don't think all Muslims are bad, but I am against the Islamification of America. I am against it. I'm sorry. And that's no disrespect to Islam. I'm a Christian. This is a Christian nation, and I want to live and die with this being a majority Christian nation. It's very interesting that leftists will attack Christianity. They'll demonize Christianity. They'll stop the spread of Christianity at every turn, at every opportunity they get, but they don't extend that same energy towards Islam. It seems as though Islam is permissible, but Christianity is not. And this nation was founded on Christian values. One nation under God. What God do you think they were talking about? They were talking about Jesus Christ. And I understand we have religious freedom here, but why are Christians persecuted in the way they are in media, in politics, at every level that they are, but no other religion gets this energy? Why? I'll tell you why. It's because Christianity is the way. And that's my true belief in my heart. And I think that Islamification has spread in this nation, and it's something that we've turned a blind eye to. And it has also led to the spread of foreign values that are foreign to this nation's values. We have the spread of foreigners. We have the influx of foreigners coming in from all over the third world. We have the spread of religions that are not native to the cultures and the ideologies of this country. I mean, we're losing recipes, y'all. We're losing recipes. It's scary. And if we don't do anything and take a stand as Americans, I promise y'all, we're gonna end up like Europe. I mean, take a look. We got Zoran Mandani. We got freaking Abdul El Sayed in Michigan. We got freaking Wong in Wisconsin. I mean, it's scary stuff. We have socialism on the rise. What is going on in our nation? It's getting very scary. We're getting into Zero Dark 30 territory, guys. And if we don't take a stand, a collective stand, and actually rally behind something, I mean, we're in trouble. And I think that the right has done a terrible job at focusing on these issues because they're so focused on sending billions of dollars to our greatest ally that they're alienating the voter base, especially my generation, Gen Z, on both sides of the aisle, left or right. People are sick of pro-Israel candidates. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. People do not want that. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. And the more people try to say, oh, they'll realize, no, the fuck they won't. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. No, they won't. That is a very increasingly popular opinion, regardless of what your political ideology is, because people have seen what's happening in Gaza and they've seen billions of our dollars go over there because under Joe Biden, we had billions of dollars going to Ukraine and we were pissed. Now billions of dollars are going to Israel and it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Oh, no, I want billions of dollars to be spent on issues in America. I want billions of taxpayer dollars to be spent on issues and spent on American taxpayers. We have all this money that they can take from us, and at what point is it going to benefit any of our lives? That's what I want to know, guys. And that is why I consider myself an independent. Now, I am right-leaning because I do believe at some level, in some capacity, that the right will prioritize the American citizen and the pro-America movement in some capacity, but I do think that our government is corrupted. And that's why I like what he said about politicians. They put on this farce that they're for these issues that they're not about because they benefit from it. They enrich themselves, they get rich, they get power, they get access, they get exemption from a lot from the laws. I mean, we know that politicians can break the law and get away with it. Come on, guys. If what I'm saying to you is news, you're not really paying attention. And I'm getting fired up because I feel passionately about this. I've woken up. I'm paying attention. I see what's really going on. And I'm to the point, this may be a controversial opinion, I'm to the point where I think politics is all theater. I think it's all theater. It's just a food fight, pointing fingers. But I know who I think, who I don't actually know. I don't know. But I know one thing certain, I need some pro-American candidates to come in and prioritize our people, and our people is the American people. And if you are not a citizen, well, I'm sorry for you. I can't rock with you. But if you a citizen, you was born in this nation, you put your hand on your heart and pledge allegiance to that flag, I'm rocking with you through and through.
And was just a useful stepping stone in pursuit of this outcome. Now, his job is done.
The useful idiots, the leftists who are idealistically believing in the beauty of the socialist or communist or whatever system, they serve a purpose only at the stage of destabilization of a nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore, and they will be lined up against the wall. And Yuri Bezmenov. Well. Bezmenov? I don't know.
April then was just a useful stepping stone in pursuit of this outcome. Now, his job is done, and his services are no longer required.
This really going on, y'all. The rise of socialism is scary. Like I said, we losing recipes, y'all. We need to take a collective stance. We need to wake up. We need to pay attention to what's really going on and prioritize America first. Prioritize our future. Prioritize our values. Prioritize what made America America. And I'll tell you what it wasn't. It wasn't bringing in a bunch of foreigners from all these third world countries that have never contributed anything and let them tell us what makes America great. I'll tell you, I don't stand for that. I can't get down with that. No, sir. We know what makes America great. It's all in the history books. The people that came from Europe and established America. The slaves. I can go on and on. The list goes on and on. I'm not going to sit here and ramble no more. I've rambled enough. Listen, I'm a pro-America guy. I want the taxpayer money to come back and be spent in America and be prioritized on American issues. I want for once in my life to see a politician prioritize domestic issues over international issues, because international issues don't really concern me unless our safety is a threat. Someone is a direct threat to the U.S. I don't care. Sorry, don't care about a threat to our allies. Don't care about that's y'all problem. Y'all the big boy. Put your big boy pants on. Our money shouldn't go over there. Our money should be spent over here. Sorry, we got enough issues and they're being ignored. And you see, it's to our detriment. Hey, but that's my belief, y'all. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I thought this was a great video. I loved what he talked about as usual. So let me know what y'all think. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll be back with some more content.